A mochi moment from Mark, who writes, I just want to thank you for making GLP-1s affordable. What would have been over $1,000 a month is just $99 a month with Mochi. Money shouldn't be a barrier to healthy weight. 3 months in, and I have smaller jeans and a bigger wallet. You're the best. Thanks, Mark. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Mark is a Mochi member compensated for his story.
This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Shopify. Starting a business is filled with a lot of what-ifs. What if I fail? What if nobody listens to the podcast? What if nobody cares? It can definitely be hard to get over that doubt and uncertainty, but making that leap was one of the best things I've ever done, and it's great to know that I'm not alone with a business partner like Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Heinz and Mattel to brands just getting started. And I'm telling you, their tools really do feel like you have a business partner. They have hundreds of ready-to-use templates to help build a beautiful online store that matches your brand. You can also get the word out like you have an entire marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And if you get stuck, Shopify is always there to help with their award-winning 24/7 customer service. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/justice. Go to shopify.com/justice. That's shopify.com/justice.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised.
My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Today, I'm discussing the case of Melodee Buzzard. Now, this is a brand new case that needs as many eyes and ears on it as possible. 9-year-old Melodee has been missing from her home in Vandenberg Village, California, for an unspecified period of time. She was only reported missing after administrators with her school district reported that they hadn't seen her in nearly a year in October 2025. This sparked an immediate and aggressive response to finding Melodee. A search warrant for her home was executed the very next day. The FBI became involved, and they've been able to determine that Melodee's mother, Ashlee Buzzard, may have taken her from California to Nebraska earlier this month, but returned without her daughter. While this has narrowed down the timeline of her disappearance significantly, Melodee is still missing. And unfortunately, while the rest of Melodee's family and community have been extremely vocal about her past and her disappearance, Melodee's mother isn't speaking to anyone. Not to her family, not to the community, and not to authorities. This is the case of Melodee Buzzard. It's Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. And administrators with the Lompoc Unified School District in California have discovered something unsettling. One of their students, 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard, has been noticeably absent from their independent studies program for about a year. Now, Melodee actually attended the first grade at Buena Vista Elementary in Santa Barbara County, but after that, her mother, Ashlee Buzzard, enrolled her in the independent study program, basically homeschool. This was through the Mission Valley Independent Study Program backed by the school district. This program offers optional classes and extracurricular activities for the children in these programs, but there are mandatory check-ins. Basically, officials at the school noticed that Ashlee had failed to pick up classroom assignments for Melodee for several weeks, and that Melodee wasn't attending some of these programs as she had in the past, things like certain group activities and field trips. They say they hadn't heard or seen from Ashlee or Melodee since the previous October in 2024. Ashlee had also failed to file homeschooling paperwork legally required by the state of California. Really, they just missed all these checks and balances that ensure that these children enrolled in homeschool are getting a proper education. So at this point, the school district follows their mandatory truancy procedures. Now, we don't have the specifics, but typically it would include things like phone calls, emails, letters home, and home visits. But they're not able to get a hold of Ashlee or get any type of status update on Melodee. This is when they report her prolonged absence to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. They respond by conducting a welfare check that same day, again October 14th, to Melodee's home on the 500 block of Mars Avenue in Vandenberg Village. Ashlee does answer the door, but according to investigators, she's uncooperative, and they ultimately are not able to make contact with Melodee or confirm her whereabouts. In fact, Ashlee doesn't even provide them with an updated picture for Melodee to help in the search. The photo you'll see for today's episode is what's been widely circulated, and that's from 2 years ago in 2023. It is, unfortunately, the most current photo they have for her at this time. So investigators start trying to make contact with other family members, and they get a hold of Melodee's paternal aunt, Elizabeth Mesa, and she tells them that her family hasn't seen Melodee in nearly 5 years. According to reporting by Clara Harder for the LA Times, Melodee's father, Rubiel Mesa, unfortunately passed away in a motorcycle accident in 2016, when Melodee was just under a year old. At that time, Melodee and her mother were living with Rubiel's mother in Santa Maria, but moved away shortly after Rubiel's passing. According to several of Melodee's family members, shortly after that, Ashlee cut off all contact with the family and no longer allowed them to see Melodee. So when investigators start trying to make contact with Melodee's other family members, this is really the response that they get. That they love and care for Melodee, but haven't been allowed to see her or have any contact with her for years. Basically, no one has had eyes on her or Ashlee for a very long time. It's becoming overwhelmingly clear that something is very wrong with this situation. So the sheriff's office returns to Melodee's home the following day, October 15th, to again ask Ashlee where her daughter is and if she's okay. They do make contact with her again, but Melodee is not there, and Ashlee is completely uncooperative according to the sheriff's office. She's not telling them where Melodee is or her current condition. So they come back that night with a search warrant.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details. When the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office executes a search warrant at the home of missing 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard, they're hoping for something that will lead them to finding her, or finding out what may have happened to her. At this point, her school district says that they haven't had contact with her or her mother for about a year. And most of her family says that they haven't seen Melodee in about 5 years. It really is the worst case scenario for this type of investigation. Forget the first 48 hours. They're behind by at least a year at this point. And Melodee's mother, Ashlee Buzzard, isn't talking. Now, there's a lot that we do not know about this search. We don't have photos of Melodee's living space. We don't know if there was even a room for her, or if there was any clothing or toys that would seem to fit a 9-year-old in that home, evidence that she'd been there recently. But this is what we do know. They do not find any evidence of a crime. There's no blood, no signs of a struggle, or signs that anything traumatic may have happened in that home. That's really all we know, which honestly does make sense for a brand new investigation. I have to have hope that they found something that will help them find Melodee. Now at this point, the story breaks in the media. There are headlines everywhere about Melodee being reported missing after not being seen in a year. But we now know that that isn't accurate. As investigators begin digging into whatever they can find out about Melodee, they discover that one of the administrators at the school district saw her and Ashlee at the beginning of August 2025. That's when Ashlee was enrolling her in the independent study program for the 2025-2026 school year. Now, we don't know exactly what caused this miscommunication within the school district that caused the first administrators to report that Melodee hadn't been seen in a year. But honestly, it seems like it was a good thing, because the bottom line is that Melodee is seemingly missing, and her mom is not cooperating with investigators. And it's definitely helped them narrow down the timeline a lot more. Instead of being missing for an entire year, it seems she's been missing for a few months. But then they narrow down that timeline even more. They discover that Melodee was seen with her mother as recently as October 7th, 2025. But here's where things in this case get even scarier. Investigators reveal that Ashlee Buzzard may have driven Melodee as far as Nebraska in a rented white Chevy Malibu. For some context, that's about halfway across the U.S. from Southern California, about 22 hours or about 1,500 miles. It's a long way to go, and at this point, we don't know what's in Nebraska. Just that Ashlee and possibly Melodee drove this route in a rented vehicle starting on October 7th. But investigators are quick to share this information because they want everyone to have it, that Ashlee was driving a rented white Chevy Malibu from Lompoc, California to Nebraska. While she is no longer in possession of the car, it's since been returned. They stress the importance of sharing the license plate number. 9MNG101. And they urge anyone who may have seen them or the car to report it to the sheriff's office or the FBI. They've since become involved at this point due to the possibility of Ashlee transporting Melodee across state lines. And don't worry, they did find the vehicle. It's been impounded, they've got it for forensic testing, but as far as any DNA evidence found, they haven't released any of that to the public just yet. But possibly by using GPS or license plate readers, they've narrowed down this trip from Lompoc, California to Nebraska and then back to California as occurring between October 7th and October 14th. The trouble is, they don't know exactly when Melodee was with Ashlee and when Ashlee was alone. According to reporting by Patrick Riley for the New York Post, they were seen making several stops along the route, but the public information officer for the sheriff's office has stated that they don't know the specifics of this trip just yet. All they really seem to know is that the trip began in Lompoc, California on October 7th, and it seems that Ashlee returned home without Melodee a week later on October 14th. And that's basically where Melodee's case is today. But that's not where this episode ends. Because in response to Melodee seemingly going missing, or worse, her family and community have stepped up big time. They've provided more information that gives us a bit more insight into Ashlee's possible mental state and Melodee's life leading up to this point.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together. And Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice. Ashlee's mother, Lori Miranda, spoke with KSBY News reporter Crystal Bermudez about her daughter and granddaughter. Like Melodee's family on her father's side, Lori also says she hasn't seen either of them for about 2 years, and only found out that Melodee was missing when she was contacted by law enforcement. She reiterated that she hadn't seen either of them, and isn't aware of any family in Nebraska that Ashlee could have left Melodee with. But this wasn't the first time authorities contacted her about Ashlee and Melodee. Shortly after Melodee's father passed away, Lori got a call from police letting her know that they planned to take Melodee into state custody and to take Ashlee to the hospital. At this time, Melodee was just a few months old, under a year. And Ashlee actually has another older daughter who was also involved in this incident. Now, this daughter is no longer in Ashlee's care, and it appears that she hasn't been for many years. So to be crystal clear, this older daughter does not appear to be missing or in any danger. But here is Lori Miranda telling Crystal Bermudez from KSBY News about this incident.
About 15 minutes later, a sheriff calls me. He says, I'm at your daughter's house in Orcutt, and I was just getting ready to take your granddaughter Melodee with me to CPS because we're getting ready to take your daughter to the hospital. House was in disarray. There were raw eggs in pans. There was rotten food in the fridge that I think she was trying to give my granddaughter.
So this is when Lori Miranda comes to Ashlee's home and finds it in complete disarray. She believes Ashlee was trying to feed her older daughter this rotten food, and Lori tells Bermudez that Ashlee does have a history of mental illness and has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Now, as far as I could find, this comes exclusively from Ashlee's mother. It has not been confirmed by a medical professional or law enforcement, so take that for what you will. According to Melodee's aunt, Elizabeth Meza, who you'll hear from later in this episode, Melodee is taken from Ashlee's care and placed with family on her father's side for a brief period of time before being returned to her mother's care. At this point, Lori says it was due to Ashlee's behavior that she voluntarily took a step back from her daughter for her own safety and sanity, causing about a 2-year gap in seeing Melodee. But she thought Melodee was in school and doing just fine before discovering that she was missing. Now, I have to give the biggest shout out to Crystal Bermudez for getting this interview as well as what I'm about to tell you next. She really has gotten some of, if not the most crucial interviews with Melodee's family at this point. But as she's outside of Ashlee's house reporting on this case, she captures something else. Melodee has another older half-sister on her father's side. Her name is Karina Meza. In the video, she appears to be an adult. And Karina was not shy to confront Ashlee to get answers about her sister.
Ashlee, it's Karina. I just want to see if you're okay. If Melodee's okay, how you guys are doing. Do you have the time to speak with me?
Although she did not answer questions about Melodee, Ashlee stated she was feeling overwhelmed and stressed and told Karina she did not appreciate her being parked outside when she did not want to communicate with her.
Wait, this is my number right here. If you ever want to talk to me, I want a relationship with Melodee, please. Please, Ashlee. Is she okay? Are you okay?
Did she mention anything about Melodee?
No, she didn't. I did ask her if Melodee is okay as well if she's okay, but she did not answer.
Karina confirms that Ashlee cut off her side of the family from having any contact with Melodee. And as you heard, or I guess didn't hear, Ashlee wasn't giving Karina any answers either. At this point, it seems that the only other person speaking about Melodee is her paternal aunt, Elizabeth Meza. Here she is speaking with Nancy Grace, giving more details on Karina's interaction with Ashlee.
We found out last Tuesday, the investigator reached out and was asking questions and, about her whereabouts. So to hear that she was missing was completely mind-blowing, and to find out she was homeschooled by the mom, and the last time anybody seen her was a year, and then it turned out to be 2 months ago was the last time that the school had seen her. So the timeline was very sketchy, and mom is not giving any information at all. So she answered the door for my niece, Karina, which is Melodee's sister on her dad's side. She opened the door and answered very little questions, but as far as anybody else, no, she will not answer anybody. She will not answer the door. She will not answer questions. But she stood there very stoic with a very stone look on her face. And my niece asked her, "Where's Melodee? If she's okay." And she said, "Why now? Why now?" And my niece said, "Well, we couldn't get a hold of you. We had no address. We had no phone number." And she said, "Well, there's a reason for that." And my niece just kept asking her, "Is Melodee okay? Are you okay?" And she said, "I hope you and your kids are well." And she shut the door.
When Elizabeth asked investigators if Melodee was okay, she says they told her they couldn't say due to it being an open investigation, and that at this time they are simply trying to determine Melodee's whereabouts. She added that she hadn't seen Melodee in about 5 years, and that her last interaction with Ashlee was very strange.
She was acting very strange. She had shaved her head down. I mean, she had like a buzz cut, and she had a hoodie on. The mom, Ashlee, did. And she was acting very strange. And my mother-in-law had told her, if you want to leave her here, she could stay here, because she was playing with my kids. And Ashlee looked and she said, "I can't do this." And she grabbed her and they left. And that was the last time that we seen her.
Elizabeth also claimed that at one point, Ashlee had crashed her car intentionally with Melodee inside when she was a baby. It really seemed that everyone in the family was extremely concerned. And she goes on to explain that Melodee has a lot of family on her father's side who is more than willing to care for her. Like I told you earlier, she says that Melodee had been removed from her mother's care by the state at one point, presumably in the same incident Ashlee's mother described earlier, and she was placed with her aunt and uncle on her father's side for some time, but was eventually reunited with Ashlee. After that, she was completely cut off from that side of the family.
Well, we just found that out. See, we had no contact with her. The last time we were informed that she was removed from the mother's care, and we all tried to, get her, she could be with me, she could be with, whoever they would allow her to be. And then she was finally able to be placed with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and they had her for quite some time. I don't know exactly how long. And then the state came back and they removed her.
But as reporters and investigators begin speaking to Melodee's neighbors, they discover that Melodee wasn't just kept from her family, but it kind of seems like she was kept from the entire world. She was apparently very sheltered and seldom able to do things like just play with other kids on her block. But they do remember seeing her with her mother in the neighborhood. They've also gathered personal surveillance video from these neighbors to help establish a timeline, though the results, if any, have not been disclosed to the public as of recording this episode. Now, despite not being close with Melodee, this community has led efforts to help find her. Not only have they put up flyers for her in the area and created a Facebook group titled In Search of Melodee, they've quite literally posted up outside of her home and put signs outside with Melodee's pictures and the words, "Where is Melodee?" and "We're not going to stop until you tell us." They are very serious about finding Melodee and are demanding answers from Ashlee. While they have expressed interest in forming their own search party for Melodee without any idea of where she could be, they don't really know where to start. The Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office has also openly discouraged community members from conducting their own searches or investigations. They've instead asked them to help share the facts of Melodee's case without any further involvement. Here is Raquel Zick, Public Information Officer for the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office.
We are seeing a lot of people that are showing up at the residence, especially people who are kind of concerned, wanting to conduct their own searches and their own investigations. And we really want to encourage the public to just kind of share information with law enforcement as opposed to conducting your own investigation, and just kind of warn that, that some of this stuff could possibly impede our investigation or interfere. And we know that the public is very adamant and passionate about helping to locate Melodee, and we very much appreciate that. But we're, again, encouraging people not to have that result in a community-led investigation.
I know that can be hard to hear, but I have to believe that they have information we don't that would lead them to this specific request. Either way, this community has been truly amazing. And I want to play you a small snippet of those neighbors and Melodee's sister Karina speaking with Crystal Bermudez with KSBY News.
We're all looking for answers, but, we're showing up today so that way, she knows we care. We're here for Melodee, and hopefully she will come out and tell us where she's at.
Besides the garage being open almost 48 hours now, which we don't know if she knows or not, she was burning something in the fireplace last night, but paper was coming out.
Organization is going to be key in this. If they're not going to press her until she cracks, I'm sorry, it's time.
Now that is alarming. What she was burning seems to be anyone's guess. But I think it's safe to say that there are many eyes on Ashlee and her home at all times.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the Keys. And it leads on who they might have been running for.
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
So where is Melodee Buzzard? Well, of course, we don't know for sure. But it's clear that for some reason, her mother Ashlee, her sole caregiver for most of her life, isn't talking. In my research about Melodee, I discovered the statements about Ashlee being diagnosed with bipolar disorder, that she seemed erratic in some of her last interactions with Melodee's family on both sides. And it does seem that Ashlee was also having a bit of financial trouble. Now, I just want to say that plenty of perfectly loving, functional families have money issues. It happens to the absolute best of people. But one theory that's been thrown out there is that Ashlee may have trafficked Melodee for money due to these issues. So it did feel appropriate to bring up here. In 2017, Ashlee filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection. In 2024, Discover Bank took her to court for $4,200. That same year, Capital One did the same thing for $3,000. And in May of this year, she was facing another court case from Capital One. Now, is a combined $7,200 worth of debt enough to sell your child? I don't know. But if all those debts are suddenly paid off, I have to assume that investigators will catch on pretty quickly. The latest information about Melodee as of recording this episode is that investigators are focused on the October 7th to October 14th time period that Ashlee may have taken Melodee from California to Nebraska. They theorize that Ashlee may have taken Melodee to a relative along that route, but can't say for sure. This seems to be their best lead right now, and they are really appealing to the public for assistance. The sheriff's office has asked the public for help in sharing Melodee's picture and information, which again, I want to stress this photo is from 2 years ago, but it is the most recent photo available. Sheriff Bill Brown said, quote, "The sheriff's office shares the community's concern for Melodee's safety and is committed to bringing her home. We are grateful to the media for disseminating Melodee's photo and the information surrounding her disappearance far and wide, which we hope will help us solve this perplexing case. We are hopeful that Melodee might be with someone, perhaps an extended family member or friend who may not be aware of the circumstances of her disappearance." End quote. That brings me right to our call to action. Please share Melodee's picture and information, especially if you live in the states between California and Nebraska. This is a brand new case that is being actively and aggressively worked. While we are past the first 48 hours, it is the next crucial time for any missing persons investigation. As of recording this episode, Melodee was seen just a few weeks ago, so please share her information so that hopefully authorities can recover her and bring her to a safe environment. As a reminder, authorities estimate that 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard has been missing from Vandenberg Village, California since October 7th, 2025. She has curly brown hair, brown eyes, is approximately 4 feet to 4 foot 6 inches tall, and weighs between 60 and 100 pounds. She was last seen with her mother, Ashlee Buzzard, when she was driving a rented white Chevy Malibu, license plate number 9MNG101, from California to Nebraska between October 7th, 2025 and October 14th, 2025. She is no longer in possession of that vehicle, but investigators have asked the public to report any information they may have about Ashlee, Melodee, or the vehicle between those dates to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office at 805-681-4150. You can also submit a tip anonymously at 805-681-4171, online at sbsheriff.org or at Tips.FBI.Gov. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice. Welcome to the Secret After Show. The studio door is open and our emotional support puppies, Popcorn and Heber, are in the room. I am back from my 1-week reset. Now that I am back, I can tell you that I was up north in Flagstaff, Arizona, taking a break from true crime and celebrating my birthday. It was great. Now, the reason I went up to Flagstaff, Arizona, if you guys aren't aware, that area is very forested. It looks like places back east. It looks like, wooded areas in the Midwest. It's not exactly what most people imagine when they think of Arizona. It's a big forest and it's really, really pretty. For many years now, I've had this dream of like running away to the woods, right? I think a lot of us have that dream to just run into the middle of the woods and live there forever and live in peace. And so I wanted to like stay in the woods for a week, right? And I discovered that I am such a city girl. I loved it. It was beautiful. But let me tell you what got to me. So, of course, I took our emotional support puppies, Popcorn and Heber. I had to. I can't be away from them for a week on my birthday. So I took them up north with me, and they were really good the whole time. There was one night though that they needed to use the restroom in the middle of the night. And so I'm staying in this, this home, this Airbnb, which you guys know, I'm already like sketched out by Airbnbs. I have a whole Dark Truth episode on it. But, when you want privacy, when you want to run away to the middle of the woods, Airbnb is one of your best options. So it's the middle of the night. Dogs need to go potty. I put them on their harnesses. We get our leashes ready to go because I'm not losing them in the middle of the woods. I go outside. It is pitch black. I can see nothing. I know that there are animals out there because I see the poop every morning, and I've since become a poop expert, so I could tell if it was bears or whatever. It was elk, but there are bears in the area, and coyotes, stuff like that. And so I go out there. It is I can see nothing. And that's when I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out to live in the middle of the woods. I just don't know. And maybe, I'm sure I would get used to it, especially if the woods were, part of my property or my backyard or whatever. But long story short, it was a great self-discovery trip to make me realize that I am most likely pretty much a city girl. It sounds really nice and it was really beautiful up there, but I had never been so terrified of nature in my life. To have to take the the dogs to use the restroom in the middle of the night, wondering what creatures were out there, I was scared. Maybe I'm a wuss, but shout out to anybody who lives that life. That is my personal update. I haven't given one of these in a very long time, and that's what I have for you. I was pursuing this lifelong dream that has perhaps since changed. But either way, I do want to say thank you for allowing me time to have that break, and thank you for all the birthday wishes. Now, actually, there's one more thing I wanted to bring attention to. The very next day that I got back, the following day, I should say, I attended the Wings of Hope event from Missing in America. They were holding a fundraiser here at Butterfly Wonderland in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. And Voices for Justice Media was able to sponsor that event, or be one of the sponsors, I should say. So I just wanted to bring a little attention to that. Missing in America is a really great network who, they help create flyers, they help out families. And actually, one of the founders, Jazz, was interviewed by Nancy Grace about this case, about Melodee Buzzard. So they do great work. I just wanted to raise some awareness for them here. And again, I do want to say thank you. Without you guys listening, without that ad revenue, without your understanding that I need to run ads on this podcast, I would not have been able to purchase that sponsorship. So thank you. As much as I love doing those things, I also really love recognizing that you guys are the driving force behind that. Of course, I think in any realm, in any world, I would try to raise as much money as I could for these organizations. But with your patronage of this podcast, it is so much easier to make that possible. So thank you. But let's go on to the case. My goodness. As much as I want to say I was taking a break from true crime over my birthday when I was up in Flagstaff, I did see Melodee's case. How could I not? I saw it and was like, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to cover it. I have to cover it. It's hard, right? Because I hate bumping these newer cases to like the front of the line because I do have such a long line of cases to cover of families that need their case covered. But when there is a missing child, a newly missing child, I always feel compelled to get this information out there as soon as possible. And while I thought it might be a mini-sode that I could put out for like 5 or 10 minutes, more just kept coming out as the week progressed, and I wanted to get as many eyes on Melodee's case as possible because, again, while this is not the first 48 hours, this is the next most crucial time in her case. So yeah, I wanted to get out there as soon as possible. And of course, it's just so devastating. It is so hard to hear. And honestly, these cases get me fired up. And by fired up, I mean pissed off. There's something about a child being taken from their biological parents, placed back with their biological parents, going missing, and the parents not cooperating. It pisses me off. I don't care what you did. Cooperate. I don't care if you're scared. Cooperate. And I know like, there's a lot of double-edged swords in this episode that I want to recognize. And it's hard because I'll be the first one to say that like, you have constitutional rights. You have the right to not speak with police. You have the right to not let them search your home if they don't have a warrant. And constitutional rights, the right to a lawyer, all these things are so important. And I do understand why some parents, are hesitant to talk. They get a lawyer, that type of thing. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. From everything I'm seeing, Ashlee Buzzard is just outright completely uncooperative. Not let me get a lawyer and, make sure I'm protecting myself. It is complete non-involvement. And I really hope that I'm wrong. And I really hope that there's something else behind the scenes that we don't see or don't know that leads us away from Ashlee. But right now, I'm pissed. Now, the next thing I have on my list is another double-edged sword, and that is community-led investigations. And I think it's really powerful to put that in the episode, to put that directly from the public information officer, that it can hurt the case. And I guess, just in general, I think it's really important to talk about that and to remind people that even with the best intentions, there are things in these cases, I would dare say every single unsolved case out there specifically, there's information that the public, that the family does not know. And that there are reasons why these authorities, right, whether it's the FBI or the local sheriff's office, whatever, say things like, please don't do this. You might impede this investigation. And especially this early on, it's hard, right? Because I think, we can point to cases in the past where maybe if the community had gotten involved, the case would have progressed. And it's like this gamble. It's a double-edged sword. People want to help, and maybe it will help, but it might impede the investigation. And I don't know what's right, and I don't know what's wrong in this case or for a lot of these cases. But I do think it's something that we all need to think about as we engage with true crime content. Is there a line that we're crossing? Could that hurt the case? Yeah, I mean, it's hard, and I get it. Because I really do commend this community in so many ways. And so even putting in that statement felt powerful, but it was hard. And that's why I said, I know that's hard to hear because I think people have the best intentions. But sometimes it's just tricky and it's a double-edged sword. Now on to media discrepancies. It's a brand new case, but there are some already. For example, some outlets had reported that they weren't able to make contact with Ashlee on that first touch point on October 14th, that first contact. But I did find a statement from the sheriff's office to state otherwise, which is why I didn't say this was, differing in reporting. Usually I'll point those things out to you guys unless I know for sure, and it does seem like in this case we know for sure. They made contact on October 14th despite other reporting. And then, of course, I think one of the most glaring discrepancies was, she was missing for a year, then it was a few months, and now it really seems to be like a few weeks at this point. And in this episode, I feel like I tried to make a point to take you along that journey of the case evolving as new information came out. And I do think Melodee's case is a great example of how the facts of these cases change as we learn new information. Like, it's not exactly misinformation to begin with, but it becomes misinformation as we learn more. And I think a lot of new big cases happen this way. I mean, to be totally honest, I think it's very likely that in a few weeks, this episode will probably have some misinformation in it due to new information that arises. But again, since this is such a critical time to try to find Melodee, I just wanted to get it out there as soon as possible, and as of recording this episode, this is all as factual as possible to the best of my ability as of recording this episode, which I think I said twice. It's just hard. Even when you're so careful, these new cases with so much information coming out so fast, it can just become dated very quickly. But again, I'm here to help generate leads for Melodee, not be the most correct, person in a year on this case. So like I always say, take that for what you will. Let's go on to heroes of the episode. I love it when we have multiple heroes. Number one, Melodee's family for speaking out. Amazing. Oh my God. Melodee's sister, y'all. Melodee's sister, Karina. All the family heroes of this episode. But Karina, good on you. Karina, a girl after my own heart, going straight. And she did, you guys, she did it like so politely. She really did. But like with enough aggression, you know what I mean? Like it seemed like a really great balance to be firm, but gentle enough that perhaps Ashlee would open up. And while that wasn't captured on camera, you heard statements from her aunt talking about how, really, at this point, it seems to be the only statements we have from Ashlee. And while it wasn't a lot, Karina did get something. So shout out to Melodee's family. Shout out to Karina. You are amazing. Number two is the community. Are you kidding? The community? Now, I will say, I don't normally love the idea of people staking outside of someone's house, putting up signs outside their house. But in this case, it feels a little more warranted. For the record, I am by no means telling you to harass anyone. I don't believe in that at all. But there's something about this community rallying together and really like staking outside of Ashlee's house, watching what's going on, that feels like it's coming from a place of love and concern versus in these other cases where it often feels like reporters trying to get a story, if that makes sense. Like these people are going to bat for Melodee. So at the risk of digging my hole any deeper, I'm just going to leave it there and call this community one of the heroes of this episode. Last but certainly not least, she also got a shout out in this episode, is KSBY news reporter Crystal Bermudez. My goodness. Interviews like she's conducted show the human side of this case outside of some of the screaming and sensationalism that I've seen out there. She speaks the facts, and she allows Melodee's loved ones to tell their side of the story without trying to do it for them. And I mean, really, the interviews that she captured, I think, were some of the best, most revealing information that we have in this case. So shout out to Crystal. I love it. Whenever I can acknowledge that a journalist is doing good, I try to do that. So, Crystal, you are the third and final hero of this episode. Now, let's go on to our segment of hope. This comes from KCBD News Channel in Nashville, Tennessee. This was written by Caleb Wethington and Akim Powell, or Akeem. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And the title of the article reads, Skull found in 2004 identified as mother who failed to pick up son from babysitter in 1986, police say. The article goes on to read, a skull found in Nashville was identified as a mother who disappeared nearly 40 years ago. In August 1986, Alice Mae Sullivan failed to pick up her 3-year-old son from a babysitter's house after she attended class at Tennessee State University that morning. She was reported missing by her parents the next day. In 2004, a skull was found by a contractor building homes on Stokers Lane in North Nashville. Police say that an unidentified skull has been positively matched to Sullivan. There's a quote here, through the assistance of forensic scientists at the University of North Texas Center for Human Identification, Sullivan was matched to an unidentified skull last Wednesday, MNPD said. Police said that there are no signs of trauma to the skull. However, the investigation into Sullivan's death continues, as the skull was only one piece of her remains found during an extensive search. Now, because there was so little in that article, I did actually try to look up a few more because I was like, I need more. What do you mean? I wanted to know more, how we can help. And I found another article from People by David Chu. And it does have a little bit more, but just a little bit. It explains, where is it? That Alice was majoring in business and hoping to become the first member of her family to graduate from college, which is amazing. I mean, a very driven young woman, it appears. And her family said that before she disappeared, Sullivan moved into an apartment with her boyfriend not far from campus, but then changed her mind and wanted to return home and commute to school. On the day she went missing, she dropped her son off at preschool, so preschool babysitter, conflicting information, and went to her morning class. She was last seen walking in the vicinity of TSU's Gentry Center. It did not attend her afternoon class. So just a little bit more information there that I thought, we could include. It's hard, right? Because I think the reason I wanted to include it in my segment of hope is because there is now a child out there who knows that, his mother most likely did not leave him willingly, which, my goodness, 1986, it has been nearly 40 years that, that person has had to live with that, wondering, I could be wrong. They could have more information behind the scenes, but it makes our segment of hope because now he has at least a few more answers. And also because it looks like, Alice's case, hopefully, supposedly, is being looked at again. They have this piece of her skull. Hopefully they'll find more and find out whatever happened to her. But that's why it makes our segment of hope. And as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.